Good evening, Liz friends, and welcome to another therapeutic meeting at Enlighten the Shire Spiritist group. We are very, very happy and pleased to be with you here. And thank you for being with us if you're connecting anywhere in our social platforms. And to begin, we'd just like to have a quick meditation to connect with our spiritual protectors, to the light workers that are working with Light in the Shire Spiritist group, with the light workers and the mentors that are protecting and supporting each parent that may be watching this talk, even tonight or later on when we have the content available. May this light and love from these protecting energies of the universe be with you, be with us all in our mission as parents. And let's ask for this peace and love to be blessing the hearts of those who need it the most, and to bless us in having an open mind and an open attitude towards how we can be better at being parents in a balanced way and in a loving way. So thank you again for joining us, and we hope that you enjoy the content that we're going to be going through tonight. So the therapeutic meeting tonight is Parenting with Purpose, a Spiritist approach to raising good humans. So we will, in a nutshell, be discussing some contemporary ideas of what parenting entails, and of course the Spiritist teachings, and how some of the concepts actually overlap, and some of the contemporary educators and neuroscientists, and some of the knowledge that they can share to help us with practical tools to better parent and to heal any childhood traumas or negative experiences we might have had, or just to learn to resignificate those experiences in our lives so we can be better humans as well, as we are going through this journey together. So thank you again for joining us, and we're happy to open the chat to any questions as well as we delve into the context. So yeah, thanks for joining us. And hi, Flavia, thanks for joining us. We're all in a spiritual journey, and we are all developing as spirits, right? So some of us have been here a little bit longer. Some of us are, new in this journey, in this planet, I guess, in this evolutionary process that we're going through. So we never know where we're at, really. But one of the teachings that we already have from the book Happy Life by Joanna de Angelis is that parenthood is a major responsibility. And why is that? Basically, because we are ever evolving creatures. So we have a path and a destiny ahead of us. And as much as we love looking forward, we also have the results of the past reincarnations that we have forged over many lifetimes. And when we see a child, when we see a baby, when we see a young person, we have to take into consideration when we're thinking about the spiritual journey of all the beings living in our planet, is that we don't know how long they've been living as a spirit. We don't know if they're more experienced or more evolved than we are. What we know is we are the heirs today of everything that we have planted in previous lives. So the seeds that we planted, we are sowing today. So Joanna de Angelis says, humans are born with the destiny they themselves had forged in past reincarnations. Even so, they will always be affected by their parents' examples. So we are living examples for our children. And that's why they're so malleable. They're like clay that hasn't taken shape and form in each new life. In Spiritist teachings, we know that all the way up to 7 years of age, the spirit is very immutable. So we can have a positive influence on their shaping of the character in this life, and the control over some tendencies or the learning of new habits by watching our examples. So she mentions, thus, the first school in the home, and the home is the result of the behavior of the parents, who shouldn't put forth the effort to make it pleasant, who should put forth the effort to make it pleasant, honorable, and rich in peace. So we should be providing that home for our children as much as possible, the same way that I guess some of us might have had a home like that, or some of us might wish we had had a home like that. But it's part of our journey. So as much as we can control it, to provide them role modeling behavior and also a peaceful place where they can thrive. So bless your children with your words and deeds. Be their friend in every situation, is Joanna de Angeli's advice. And this is just like an opening message to help us set the tone for what we're going to be reviewing today. And that's from the book Happy Life. So why is spiritual development such an important part of someone's life? So we are going to lean on one of the contemporary educators here called Maria Montessori for some of these teachings, which are completely in line with the spiritual teachings that we learn in Spiritism as well. So she identifies that spirituality is innate in children. It is the primary force of their development and central to their capacity for joyful and deep engagement with their environment. So even Maria Montessori, in I think it was 1948 that she 1978, sorry, that she cited this. She was fully aware that human beings are spiritual beings and they've got spirituality as an innate part of their being. So the spiritual needs of a child are essential for them. So it is, according to Montessori, as essential to their being as nutrition for their bodies. So we should think to ourselves, what are the spiritual needs of our children, and are we meeting them or are we neglecting them sometimes? Hi, Ana Carol Fentin and Andriele Rosa. Thank you for joining us as well. So the moral values, the moral nutrition that we study in philosophies, in bodies of knowledge like Spiritism, help us nourish their being with things like kindness, humbleness, forgiveness, all those moral values that we start teaching if we try to follow that path of a spiritual education is going to be essential to shaping the character. And like I said, because these little beings are actually spirits in evolution, they might be already prone to a few habits, a few traits that we as parents can have such an important part of influencing at a very early age, and we should. And Montessori considers education the most important problem of humanity. If we would sort out that emotional education, the moral education, if we met the spiritual needs of every human being living in this planet would already be a much better place, because sometimes people act in the wrong path in a way, or act I guess without the full potential that they could be having in their environment or in their family or in their lives, because they might have not learned yet. It might be pure ignorance, it might be just some mistake, but people who have their spiritual needs, moral values, education embedded in them will have better chances of being good humans, good citizens, contributing to our society. And that's a fact. So in Spiritism, it's very clear for us parenthood is a mission, and there is one single and most important part of that mission. Parents' mission is to connect our children to the divine. It's simple as that. And how can we connect our children with the divine? To understand that there's something bigger than ourselves. There's a creating force in the universe. There's something that is constantly shaping life around us, influencing nature, influencing who we are, how we feel. And we do that by, of course, first connecting with the divine energy ourselves, to point out, to be able to see when we're walking around our neighborhood, let's say, we can point out to a cloud and say, do you know who made that cloud? Do you know who created this beautiful nature setting around us? And we say, this is the divine. There is this energy, this big bright light that creates everything around us. And it puts this love into our hearts, and it helps us connect with everything and everyone around us. So you were created by it. I was created by it. And we can shape that conversation according to what we, I guess, understand, how we feel it. And there's no getting right or wrong if we have the best of intentions in teaching them. What do we see around us? How do we connect with that? That's all we can be asked for. So, of course, we are entrusted, according to the spirits, to guide our children towards goodness and integrity. So everything is based, of course, on those moral values, the moral foundations. But we can teach so much just by watching some examples of kindness, of nurturing, of love, of life continuing, through cycles, through observing nature, through sharing that love with our children, through a hug, through singing, through arts. There's so many ways that we can express that and we can make that connection. But of course, it is important to be mindful of our behavior, and that's where the rest of the talk is going to get exciting now, because we get to also reflect about our own childhood, right? And some of us might instinctively and unconsciously act towards our children the same way that we were treated as children. And I think in our generation these days of parents, I include myself here because I am a mother of a 4-year-old girl. And I know that there's so much information out there to help us, but at the same time, it gets us with a huge feeling of guilt and shame, because we sometimes want to break a cycle of how we are showing the world, how we're talking, how we're guiding this relationship we have with our children. But we don't want to repeat something that we unconsciously kind of do, because it's the kind of relationship that we had. But we have to understand we're ever evolving, right? So our parents didn't have maybe the tools, the information, and etc. that we do. So we can be a little bit more accepting of that as well, of our challenges, our limitations, and that we will always do the best that we can. We have to give ourselves a pat in the back sometimes and just think, hey, if my intentions are good here, lovely. That's all I can try to ask for at this stage. So we move on to parenting with love. That's all that we can be asked for, I guess, to have love in each interaction that we have. And even if we're making a mistake, with the best of intentions and with a lot of love, that can be forgiven as well. Divine mercy is there for parents. So we may not have had the best role models, opportunity, or etc., but we can overcome the challenges that we face as parents if we look into things that have been also researched and what science is there to back us up, that really is aligned with Spiritism. Is love and connection are the most important parts of a relationship that will be successful. So if we can create a very strong attachment with our children, if they trust us, if they know that we're there with the best of our intentions, if we can be loving and respectful, We are increasing their chances of having good relationships in their adult life. We are helping them feel part of a family, feel part of something. So that aspect of togetherness, it's another important part of what we have to create, I guess, as parents. And we have to understand peer orientation as well. You know, kids see other kids do things, young adults see other young adults do things, adolescents. But in this book, for example, that we're using as a reference for this slide, for this part of our talk, from Dr. Gordon Newfield and Dr. Gabor Mate, Hold On to Your Kids, Why Parents Need to Matter More Than Peers, he actually does describe that sometimes children these days are bonding with peers and copying sometimes horrid behavior that we're not in agreement with as parents, but it's because we're lacking some elements of that relationship, that closeness, that connection that really brings our children closer to us. So if we can do this, if we can try to build first loving connection as the most important part of what we do, like we discussed in Spiritism, moral values, and that leadership is really important. And in this book, this two amazing educators also mentioned that we need to really set that tone of respect and boundaries, and in the most healthiest way possible, we can create an environment where they feel safe, because children that have no boundaries might actually feel a little bit adrift, and that's how we actually lose some of that balance in the relationship, where we want to be friends with our children, but we're their parents. We have to set some ground rules, and it's for their own good. They need to understand that there's consequences for behavior, that society will not act as patiently like we do sometimes. So we need to understand that as well. I'm just going to hide this banner so we can see the slide there better. We need to understand the developmental stages that our children might be on as well. So there's no point expecting them to be way more, for example, advanced or responsible, or for example, able to control their impulses if they're not ready for that. So understanding that neuroscience and what we can expect and what's a bit unrealistic is important, and how much they might still need our help. But at the same time, both Dr. Neufeld and Dr. Mate say we need to help them build resilience by supporting them with things that they can't do yet, but also letting them do things that they should be doing at one particular stage, I guess, of their development. And in terms of our education and to educate them, it's important to have empathy over punishment. That's also being researched as things that can really strengthen our bonds and help our children. We need to play. We need to have fun with them. It's not all about serious business, okay? So family time can have play. We can actually express our own inner child through play as well, and heal some of those wounds or some of those past experiences. And we should understand the role of emotions and what are our triggers, what are their triggers, and how can we help them observe that as well. So these are just some of the tips that we captured from that book that can help us strengthen our bonds and matter more than peers in some contexts. But challenges are out there, and living in this day and age with our children in these contemporary times can bring a lot of challenges. So as an example, we've got the influence of technology. So sadly, we might be trying to instill some values in our home life and through our family, but they will have access to a lot of things online. We can have some parental controls over that up until a point, but we know that they will be having exposure. So again, if we build that solid foundation, if we can help them orient themselves through values, they will one day value as well their choices, and they will understand what are good choices, what are not so good choices. We also have very busy lifestyles. We might struggle to find time to have those moral discussions, but they are important. We recommend at least once a week to have a family study, a family gathering, if not more. It's very important to have that those conversations and explaining things, especially when big things are happening in our societies, because it might be very hard on them to see and have to process those news and have to decompress from the emotions that it might create, having access to all those things. Again, so secularization and diversity. We might have a lot of that. People are just having their own different values, opinions, and shaping their children to act in completely different ways to what we're doing with our families. But again, we should be the ones taking the lead on that, explaining to them why in our household, for example, this and this and this is not something that we allow, or why some choices are good for them or not good for them in the long term. And that would alleviate that peer pressure as well. And I mean, in terms of resources, some parents feel unprepared for more education because, like I said, we haven't been educated ourselves in that relationship with our parents. But that can change, and there's a lot of information available. We hope that just with a few pointers here today, you will feel inspired to connect with other parents and other organizations that might be supporting the resources that you are feeling like you're lacking at the moment. And that can really, really help, I know. Let's move on to then understanding our own childhood traumas and learnings. So, like I mentioned, we need love and connection as well. We need to continuously work in our moral nutrition because it is as important to the soul as our food, our physical nutrition that we put into our body. So we should be trying to understand what our needs are. What are the things that might have happened to us, to our inner child in the past that really needs that healing? And how can we increase our love and connection with others? Is it through parent groups? Is it through friends? Sometimes we have a gap that we need to fill. And until we identify it and we can actually work on it, we might actually need support. So, like Maria Montessori said, education is the most important problem of humanity. So we should be looking for that spiritual, psychological education and support to help us understand what are the traumas, what are the triggers, what are the things that are upsetting me and maybe preventing me from being the best mother, the best father, or the best, grandma, the best aunt, the best friend. To the children in our communities, because it is a community approach. Educating a child is not just the parents' mission, it's everyone in the community's mission. And as soon as we change the mindset around that, a lot can change as well. We can see ourselves as helpers and contributors to this process. So healing our inner child, of course, there's a few things that we can do. So I'm going to be sharing at the end of this presentation the links to where you can find more information about this. If any of this ticked a box there for you when we were reflecting about our own needs. So first, we can acknowledge our inner child. We can acknowledge that maybe we had past hurts in our relationship with our parents. We can hug ourselves daily and give ourselves the love that we're trying to give our children. We can picture a happy childhood moment. Sometimes our brains, our memories can actually trick us into thinking everything was horrible, but we have some beautiful happy moments. So we can actually think about that. Or if we want to try to resignificate something that happened, we can go back there and, accept the situation, process the situation through meditating through it, and actually picturing this moment to be better than what it was. We can do some mirror work, which is to talk to ourselves saying, I love you, I accept you for who you are, I forgive, myself, or I forgive such and such. I'm not going to put so much pressure on myself. I will accept that I'm doing the best I can. Practicing that self-compassion, very, very important. We can write a letter to our inner child and say, hey, I understand where you're coming from, what you experienced. Maybe try this. Or let's just move on from this. That really can help close some cycles and change the meaning in our memories. We can identify our emotional triggers, like I said, and we can make time for play. There's a few more tips in the link that I'm going to be sharing as well at the end of the presentation. So feel free to have a look if you want to go and explore more of that. So playtime. We introduced a Jesus plushie in our Spiritism for Babies and Toddlers for the parents and Bob's group that we've got. And why not lean on Jesus to be a friend that we can lean on, hug, and feel loved by? We have this plushie that our children can literally cuddle. We bought this from Amazon. There's no secret, like there's nothing too different about this plush toy. But we were teaching our children to connect with something that at that age they can actually have that sensory contact with, because we know how important that is. But why not, as parents, why not lean on Jesus as a friend, as someone that we can open our hearts to and say, oh my God, we're living through these big challenges. Can we please get your intervention here supporting us? So we can turn to him and for the divine in everyone around us, for sure. We just have to remember, who are we connecting with? The divine. If we prefer to connect with something else as a means of getting to the divine energies around us, we should do it. It doesn't matter what we choose. It's the intention, like I mentioned, that really matters. And yes, so our community at Light in the Shire Spiritist group, we became parents. There was at least 3 couples that became parents at the same time. So we felt this need to start this program called Spiritism for Babies. And we started this parents and toddlers group from 0 to 3 years of age children. Now we expanded to 0 to 3 and then 3 to 6 year olds. But there's other programs out there. And I think sometimes connecting with other parents that are trying to really drill in those moral teachings, shaping characters, that's very, very important in building resilience around us and support, and knowing that there's other people out there that really want to do a similar style of parenthood that we want to do. We can share ideas, we can exchange the challenges that we're living. So it's very, very important. And there's another author, that we're referencing here, that says that the importance of spirituality and connection with the sacred actually can generate that respect for the natural world, and that working in that community way, that approach to raising children can actually, so nurturing that can actually bring the potential that we have as humans to a full shift, and our focus can actually move from the material and secular things to true and genuine connection with others, with community, and develop that potential that we all have got together. So that has been one of our organization's goals, and we hope that you can connect with us if you have children or that age, or if you just want to chat about your experience as a parent. We hope to continue to develop our programs, but there are others as well out there. So look for somewhere you can find your feet in. And we love our parents, our community, our children. We've got many, parents together in this mission. We just wanted to say, if you're out there and you're not yet connected, feel free to browse our programs. We've got our programs on Eventbrite, and we are always posting the topics. We actually have another meeting coming this Sunday for those groups, the age groups that I've just mentioned, 0 to 3, 3 to 6. And we are going to continue building our programs. And all we want to do is to have people feel connected, empowered, and that we've got more resilience and more strength if we are connecting with others and we are supporting each other. So reach out, let's support each other. And remember, our mission as parents is simple, according to Spiritism. It is to connect our children with the divine. So if we can do that, mission accomplished. And it doesn't matter how, or particular ways around how we want to do it, or it's all, there's no specific recipe or formula. We have to find in our hearts and in our gut the feeling about how is best to handle that with our children. We're the ones that know them better than anyone else. So I'll keep the references here. This will stay on the recording. You can zoom in and zoom out as much as you want, and look further to digest this content and beyond. And we wanted to wrap it up with family. We may not have it all together, but together we have it all. So which family doesn't have challenges and blessings? They all do. So thank you again for your time. Thank you for being with us. And we look forward to seeing you for our next therapeutic meeting at the end of June. But for the time being, stay well, stay connected with love, and remember, we're never alone. May this peace and love stay with you. Thank you, friends.